It has been a rough month for Bungie. They are struggling right now, looking like me trying to reach the top shelf in my pantry. I just made a video covering the lawsuit that they are getting spanked in. That's a little exaggeratory, but it is a very messy lawsuit where they're being accused of stealing for their Red War campaign as well as Curse of Osiris, and they can't actually fight back against those claims because they vaulted that content and no longer can access it themselves. It is just banished to the Shadow Realm. They can't access it, so instead they've been relying on YouTubers' videos and lore breakdown as evidence to prove they didn't steal from this other writer's work. But the judge biblically smacked that down, saying that it will not be accepted. So they're not accepting the YouTube videos, and Bungie themselves can't access the content. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to do about that lawsuit right now, all because they can't stop vaulting content. They're addicted to it. And now today, it has just come out that they have plagiarized another artist's work for Marathon. And it's a lot. And it's also not just claims of plagiarism, and it's not just baseless accusations all around like something really small or trivial that you kind of have to like squint your eyes at and be like, oh, I can kind of see a similarity. It's not like they just stole like, a big chungus shape from somebody without crediting the artist. They stole so much directly from an artist named Anti-Real. And they have also now come forward, the Marathon dev team have come forward and said that, yeah, it is indeed confirmed they did steal some of that art, but they're downplaying how much of it was plagiarized and kind of pushing the blame on a former employee. So we're going to go through this together because I think it's a lot bigger than they are making it seem. So this was the post that just blew up last night. The Marathon Alpha released recently and its environments are covered with assets lifted from poster designs I made in 2017. The side-by-sides that she provides are damning. So on the right you can see her poster, and on the left you can see the Marathon Alpha. You can see Aleph is lifted directly from her poster and just copied multiple times in the Marathon Alpha. Is the same song and dance here with another piece of evidence that she provides. You can see the arrows copy and pasted, but they were actually flipped here, which is the most effort that they went through with this plagiarism, like copying the homework but trying to make it look a little different. They changed the orientation of the arrows, but then everything else they didn't even bother trying to make even slight alterations. The symbols are pretty much exact, except for the first symbol there is like in a different direction, but it's still the exact same symbol. They just made it do like little 360s. It is very clear that they took these designs and just copied them into their game. This one is the most shameless, where you can see a tweet from Anti-Real back in June of 2024 saying, I hid loss in my designs 6 years ago and nobody caught on. And then here's a new post from someone in the alpha saying, here from the future, if anyone doubts the theft of your art, this also confirms it. And it's a screenshot in Marathon, and you can see loss. Now, if you don't know what that symbol is, it's a meme. I'm sure you've at least heard of the meme, loss. So Anti-Real's saying that in her art, she hid that. And then in Marathon, it just magically turns up. And it's kind of a little bit of an odd coinky-dink, you know what I'm saying? I've also seen this one floating around, which is completely indefensible. No matter how brain-dead and determined you are to defend Marathon, there is no mental gymnastics you could possibly use to explain this away. On the right, you can see Anti-Real's poster from the Anti-Real Daily Series, and on the left, you can see Marathon, and you can literally still see it say Anti-Real Daily Series in that green box. They changed the colors but kept everything the same, including the text that says Anti-Real Daily Series. They just tried to cover it very loosely, very lazily, but you can still make it out. Worth mentioning that it's not like they just took her art and then used it in one spot, one time, hidden, off the beaten path at like a little Easter egg behind a dumpster. We have to spin around 4 times and then you get to see what they plagiarized. No, this is art that they stole and used frequently throughout the game. It is a core part of the design, and you see them a lot in the alpha. Apparently, I didn't play the alpha because I'm not really interested in the game. There are so many screenshots in so many places that all of this shows up, and they never paid her for her work. They didn't give her any kind of, credit for it. Nothing. Nothing at all. And also, there are numerous Bungie employees that follow her account. Like, there are people on the Bungie team that follow her account. It's not like they just didn't know about her, and they're not even trying to hide the fact that they did know her art. So it's pretty clear cut here. Now, Anti-Real said, Bungie is of course not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language I have refined for the last decade, but clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas and plaster all over their game without pay or attribution. In 10 years, I have never made a consistent income from this work, and I am tired of designers from huge companies mood-boarding and parasiting my designs while I struggle to make a living. It's more than mood-boarding, though. Clearly, they did just directly steal the artwork from her, and they very easily could have hired her. If they loved her design language that she had refined, and they wanted to use it to help steer the aesthetic of the game and use it in the game, they could have absolutely hired her. Or, at the very least, paid her for the work. You know, the legal correct thing to do here. It's just craziness. They instead just ripped it. One-to-one, just ripped it with no alterations or anything. And that then calls into question this whole aesthetic that Marathon has. One of the main things people would praise for Marathon, a lot of people I know hated the alpha. It wasn't received overly well from what I saw. But the one thing that remained consistent is that a lot of players really liked the look of the game. And now this comes out, it really feels like the look of the game is stolen from other artists' work. Like, that's now the perception a lot of people have. It's just so fried. I just can't believe how blatant this plagiarism was. Now, as I mentioned, the Marathon dev team did make a statement. We immediately investigated a concern regarding unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that a former Bungie artist included these in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in-game. Very convenient that it was a former Bungie artist, even though there's still current Bungie employees following this same account. Calls into question the legitimacy of that claim that this is all just some, like, rogue operative that, you know, became a loose cannon and went off book and stole this work without us knowing. The issue was unknown by our existing art team, and we are still reviewing how this oversight occurred. We take matters like this very seriously. We have reached out to Anti-Real to discuss this issue and are committed to doing right by the artist. As a matter of policy, we do not use the work of artists without their permission. Well, not only a matter of policy, that's a matter of law. You can't just steal people's work like that. Yeah, I don't know why they try to, like, play this moral high ground. We would never do this. It is part of our mission statement. When you walk into the Bungie HQ, it says, "We shall not steal," and it's what sets us apart from the rest of the industry. To prevent similar issues in the future, we are conducting a thorough review of our in-game assets, specifically those done by the former Bungie artist, and implementing stricter checks to document all artist contributions. We value the creativity and dedication of all artists who contribute to our games, and we are committed to doing right by them. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. As other outlets have mentioned, this is not the first time Bungie has stolen art. It happened in Destiny 2 as well, so they do have a history of doing it occasionally, but to this scale is unheard of. This is probably one of the larger instances of just blatant plagiarism I've seen from a AAA game. It is egregious. And what's mind-boggling to me is I went into the comments there on those tweets, and there are people defending it, saying that it's just, you know, a coincidence. Anti-Real doesn't own the corporate brutalist style. This is ridiculous. What are you guys even apologizing for? They're actually just shutting out reality. It's not like they just drew inspiration from Anti-Real's brutalist style. They literally took it and copy and pasted it without their permission. They didn't pay for it. They didn't even credit the artist. That is not legal. You can't do that. And yet there's still people just, you know, plugging their ears to it in order to continue to shill Marathon on Twitter. Blows my mind. It is indefensible. No matter how you spin it, they stole that work. And they are openly saying that they did steal that work and downplaying the severity the severity of how much was taken. I think it's a lot more than they're letting on here, because you can see tons of screenshots from tons of different examples. Unless that former Bungie employee that they're pinning it all on was like a really higher up on the food chain here that was responsible for a ton of the art in the game, it really feels like it's probably more than just that person. Because there is a lot. Anyway, though, just another bad day for Bungie here. They're really they're going through it right now, and it's all entirely their own fault, really. That lawsuit, that could have been handled pretty quickly if they didn't just constantly vault content that people paid money for, taking away people's access to it, including their own access to it. That's on them. Stealing other people's art, that's also on them. It's entirely Bungie's fault for all the problems they're facing right now. Shit's crazy. That's about it. See ya.